Who's this cat? Kyle Gibson?
Yeah.
You know what?
M-I-Z.
He's a great dude.
You.
M-I-Z. Well, Cole will not like this because we'll first talk about how he's a great person before we get into his baseball.
Oh, yeah, because we all know him personally. And isn't he great?
Hold on.
Yeah, we do know.
He is a Mizzou guy, and Cole will love this. He's really involved with Wayno's charity, with the fantasy football, with the, is it Big League Impact?
Wow. Yes.
Or Brace for Impact? I always forget which one
It's Big League Impact.
Kyle McClellan's and which one's Wayno.
I appreciate that he's charitable, and that does
Who isn't?
That's
mean
all that
something.
matters.
Who isn't?
Here's the problem. If that's the first thing you're mentioning about your new signee,
Exactly.
you're probably not very excited about him.
Cole, okay, break it down for us.
I mean, you're right.
Give us the outside opinion
right.
of the Cardinals' new hire.
The outside opinion is that the only thing that can get in the way of the Pirates being better than the Cardinals is Johan Oviedo might need Tommy John
Wait,
surgery.
so this is all about the Pirates?
I'm saying
No,
that-
their offseason starts in February. We're not worried
No,
about that.
I'm
They'll
saying
sign
they-
3 guys that didn't get picked up by anybody else and say it was a good offseason.
But hold on, that's what the Cardinals are doing now.
No, they're doing it early. They're doing it early
all right,
because they're jumping the market,
Hey,
Charlie.
They're jumping.
folks, jump in on the Hot Take Central poll that I posted yesterday, and I got to go back and view the active results. So it's pinned to our profile, hot_take central, and the Wi-Fi in here is not working, so I got to turn my Wi-Fi off. But basically what I asked is, what is your favorite baseball team in St. Louis? Is it the St. Louis Smoke and Mirrors, the St. Louis Life Alerts, the St. Louis Innings Eaters, or the St. Louis Soft Contacts? You tell me.
I voted. That's easy for me.
Soft contact?
Soft contacts. That was really a strong narrative
That was big
for
time.
2023.
I feel like I've been married so long to the innings eaters, I might have to stick with them.
Yeah. Innings eaters?
Yeah.
Innings Eaters is currently in the lead at 37%.
All right, let's go innings eaters.
The first thing Charlie said about Kyle Gibson, and he's a good dude,
He's
and he's
charitable.
charitable.
I was getting
Get right
hey,
out of town.
This is the Paul DeYoung
Get
treatment.
right out of
Hey,
town.
he just got a job.
Paul DeYoung's a good guy. He's this, he's that, he's that. You know what he's not? Probably, if you're talking about all this stuff before you throw all these disclaimers out there, he's probably not a good baseball player.
Cole, why do you think I do this? You think I do this by accident?
No, to be funny. Which I love.
Here's what I'll say. Because I didn't crush the Lance Lynn deal, so I'm going to be fair. I wouldn't have crushed the Kyle Gibson deal if it wasn't coming off the Lance Lynn deal.
Yeah.
I thought you needed one guy like that. And you can call me naive. I threw it out there. I actually thought that the Cardinals' bad season would change their course and their aggression in the winter, whether it's free agency or trade. Now, if they go out there and get Yamamoto, I'll come back a couple months from now or when the posting's over or whoever it is. If they get an absolute stud, I'll backtrack a bit. But I don't like the way it's going right now. And I feel like, to me, John Mozeliak and the Cardinals front office, they've lost the benefit of the doubt for me.
So my thoughts about it so far is that I wonder what the end game is. Because, I mean, for the while, we get hitched to the few breadcrumbs that people give, right? So, I mean, Mo came out and said 3 pitchers. So we're going to go get 3 starters, right? No matter what. We're going to do that.
He may have been telling the truth.
So if you count these 2 as being 2 of the 3, it is, good God, what happened?
It ain't good.
Is that all bad? I want to see the end game play out because if you're doing this to be able to have the money to go up and get what you would consider to be a number 1 or a number 2 on the open market, then I understand what you're doing because they're not going to spend $300 million on pitchers. It just was never going to happen. So if this is their way of addressing that and still leaving space for who is going to be able to still ascend into the rotation, I understand it. But now, in my opinion, the stakes are as high as they can get. If you open up doing it this way, which I joke with Cole about I mean, historically it's what they do, but that's historically not what you expect for the Cardinals to do, which is number 1, to jump the market, because they did in a way. You're waiting for them to sign anybody, but they jumped up as soon as there was one signing and signed 2 guys. So, okay, that's fine, but what market are you jumping? Like, are you trying to get into the mix of people that are really out there? Did the Phillies cause for them to get more active because of the Nola deal? Or are they going to spend $250 million on one guy? Because if they do that, this is what you're going to get. My preference would be to spread it out, but it seems like maybe that's not what their approach is.
And I do agree. John Mozeliak said this yesterday, that in his opinion, if they didn't do these deals last couple of days, those guys would be gone. All I'm saying is I'm not going to change my opinion, which was I thought before this offseason started the Cardinals needed 2 starting pitchers who were better than Miles Mikolas. And I feel like you've gotten 2 that are either the same or potentially not as good as Miles Mikolas. So if the Cardinals if they actually get a true ace, okay. If they get Sonny Gray, okay, if it's Sonny Gray and 2 36-year-old one-year deal guys, I understand why Cardinals fans are disappointed. I really did. I thought they were going to get a 1 or 2 type in free agency and a similar type guy in trade. The winter's not over, but the fact that they've gotten 2, I don't think they're going to put Steven Matz in the bullpen. I don't think they're getting 2 more pitchers. If I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. I think they're going to get 1 more, and they may try for Yamamoto.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to spend $200 million, that's the dude.
Okay, but here's the deal. And I watched the whole 25-minute press conference yesterday. John Mozeliak said, look, these guys have to want to come here. It's a two-way street. One of the reasons you signed Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, they both wanted to be here. Not everybody wants to be here. And he specifically said these Asian pitchers, they almost always end up on the coasts. So you could have a great offer. It could be competitive. It might even be the best offer. Yamamoto still wants to come to St. Louis over L.A., New York, wherever else, Chicago. Other teams that are throwing similar, potentially more money, can offer more. Maybe he's more comfortable.
Well, we have a huge Japanese population here.
Yes.
Charlie. What the heck you mean?
Sure we do.
Japantown. It's on Olive.
Yes, I think is it Cahokia? I don't know. Where is it?
The Hills.
There's not many.
Is it Chinese? Is there a sushi? is there a sushi place on the hill?
I mean, there's a lot of sushi places, don't get me wrong.
Downtown
but,
Kirkwood.
I mean, there's a ton.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah, dude.
And here's one aspect of this as well. So you got Kyle Gibson on 1 year for $12 million.
Be nice.
And you got Lance Lynn 1 year for $10 million. So that's $22 million combined going to Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. I think you would have been better off putting that $22 million towards one pitcher and then easily replacing either Kyle Gibson or Lance Lynn, whoever.
Well,
as
it's
your
easy
number 5.
to say that you're going to do that, but to the point is that $22 million pitcher has to be here. So you can do it one way or the other. You could say, yeah, we're going to go out there and you're going to put that type of money in. I guess a $22 million pitcher in this market would be Marcus Stroman or Jordan Montgomery, maybe Sonny Gray, because it ain't Blake Snell. Blake Snell ain't going to cost $22 million. He's going to cost more than that.
Yeah.
Yamamoto's going to cost more than that. Aaron Nola just costs more than that. We don't even talk about Ohtani. That's not in the picture here. Are they going to be in the Julio Urias market? What do you got there? I mean, do you want to give $22 million to Eduardo Rodriguez?
No.
So here's the thing. It's good to put a number next to it and to say, go do this one thing to make the impact, but does the person match and does the person want to be there? What I take from Mo's comments is that I feel like there's been some conversations with some people already that are like, we'll see. Can you afford to we'll see if a lot of these guys come and go? My opinion, I still stand by, is I look at this pitching market and I see a few guys that are the treasures of it. Then I see a lot of guys that still just kind of slot in, and it's unfortunate if they're your day one starter anyway. So you still need to consolidate this roster. You still have got some redundancies in there and need to make some room around it. I'm looking at trades as opposed to looking at this free agent market personally and looking at what you might be able to accomplish there as opposed to overspending just to say that you check the box.
Well, how much money? So they said they're going to spend, $47 million?
I think
they're at 22 right now.
I think he said they were going to spend about what they were going to spend last year, which is if you take into account, they shed a bunch of salary at the trade deadline. So whatever that number, it could be around $200 million.
Well, it's going to be basically $50 million in free agency to play with. It was going to be about 44, and then non-tendering 4 players got them about $6 million extra. So that puts us at 50. Subtract 10 for Lance Lynn, 40. Subtract 12 for Kyle Gibson, and we're at $28 million left just for next year.
I think that there's guys that when you look around on other teams and other teams that don't have the reason to hold on to folks and might be compelled to make a deal, there's more appealing things out there to me than some of the people we just named. Shane Bieber's been going the wrong way as far as the metrics go and things like that, but when you look at this rotation and you look at what's left on that deal, it's not a super high-risk thing to have to go and do and to add in. Tyler Glasnow is another guy that's out there. Look, you always got to realize Tampa ain't going to – they'll spend enough money to say they've spent more. It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But they've got to move some guys out before they start to get to bigger deals. Guys we talked about in the past like Dylan Cease and guys like that. Like, there's options out there to go do this that don't require spending X amount of open market dollars just to say that you added guys in free agency. Because there's also other things to do with this team, too. It ain't like there's just like, all right, roll them out. Now they're ready to go. They need to make this roster make sense still. And the non-tenders they did last week just gave them room to add in more pieces, but they still got to get people out and bring people back as well.
And I don't think the Cardinals care as much about the AAV. I think they'd be fine throwing $25 million at a guy. It's about the years.
Yeah.
So somebody like Sonny Gray, even though he's older, it's going to be less of a commitment. It seems like if you just kind of look at what the Cardinals do for the last 10, 15 years, they're just much more apprehensive about the huge $200, $300 million contracts. And I think if you talk about this philosophically, you could make the argument that signing a bunch of older dudes to one-year deals actually can make sense, especially if you're talking about the playoffs, if you loaded up your bullpen with studs. Cardinals don't have that, right? Like you can see the playoff blueprint of, okay, you have some guys. Hopefully you have one ace. I mean, the Phillies have two that you love in the postseason. But if your guys in the playoffs are only going to throw 4 or 5 innings, but you have a bunch of bullpen studs that you can sign or pick up at the deadline, but the Cardinals don't have that.
Who's the most valuable guy that you think you could center or trade around for a pitcher of consequence on this roster?
Well, it's guys you don't want to trade.
And I'm going to leave Arenado and Goldschmidt out of it. I just don't see
Walker's
that
going to be.
I mean, Walker's the number
not,
one.
Walker's not happening. I don't really see a situation where they're moving Mason Wynn either.
I wouldn't. Now, Matt Holliday the other day said he would. To me, it's about the position, and offensive shortstops that are super athletic just don't fall off trees.
Is he offensive? How were his numbers last year?
Well, I mean, it was his first time in the bigs. He can run. He'll steal bases. He'll hit doubles. He'll hit triples. I'm guessing he'll probably end up hitting 15 home runs. I think he's going to be a plus offensive player. He's super athletic.
I think he's the guy that is going to be necessary for where this team went backwards last year is I think that the shift going away hurt the Cardinals in a real way. And that when you've got guys that can cover ground and can cover even the back end of Nolan Arenado, who's on the backside of his defensive level, I'm not moving Mason Wynn. I think that you're closer to having to make contractual decisions on guys like Tommy Edman and Brendan Donovan, even though Brendan Donovan's got 4 years of control left. So, I mean, that's high value that you could put in the play for somebody that needs to get somebody that might be closer to a final piece type of situation that needs versatility like that.
Get him in, by the way, to the Audi Exchange in Kirkwood. Text line 855-282-8255. Jackie Boy chimes and goes, Dylan Cease would take too much to trade for. Reinsdorf somehow got the Braves to give him 5 players for Aaron freaking Bummer.
Relief pitcher.
Okay.
Now, he has been a stud in the past, Bummer, but also that was the Braves' version of their non-tenders, essentially.
Right. Yeah.
I want Jordan Hicks back.
Well, let's just.
It's out there.
Let's only think about players who used to wear Cardinals uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
There's no one else available. Just
It's all tied together. It's
only
funny.
former Cardinals.
And they do charity and stuff.
Yeah.
Man, it's a win-win, you know?
Yeah, Kyle McClellan, he builds houses. Is he available?
Yeah, he does. He looks pretty jacked right now.
He does look good.
I like Kyle. He does good work with stuff, man. He was cool to me when I played. He always took care
Mark
of me.
Zepchinski available?
But he did ask me to go down and build houses in Mexico, and I turned it down because I'm a horrible person. Let's see here. Spartan 4, you kidding, Matt? He ain't going down there either.
No, we
talked about this.
Yeah, I wasn't going.
Didn't Scherzer and Burley want to? Yeah, but you're doing stuff here.
Yeah, I do a lot.
You're cutting ribbons here, Matty.
I'm trying to do
Oh,
things
that's right.
in the community.
Yeah.
We had a good
finish with the text line and then
no,
we can-
I'll
Hold
get
on,
back.
hold on.
I'll get
This
back.
has not been addressed yet.
I'll get back to the text line.
Okay.
I missed your presence the other day.
Yeah.
Well,
I made my position clear in the text line about
Kate
what
was
happened.
not happy.
I didn't book him.
I'll make it up.
She was not
I'll make
happy.
it up. Kate is the person of
She was talking to Big Al the whole time. She wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, well, Tiffany, but cool.
It's not about me. It's about her. You got to think of her sometimes.
I've made it very clear that I prefer Kate to you.
I know you're cutting
many
ribbons.
times.
I know you're raising money for charities and stuff.
I could have come after
But
that. I
the post is the
legitimately
post.
didn't know. I didn't remember. I forgot that was even happening during that thing. Nobody and
I should have texted.
nobody. If you would have told me,
Stupid.
I literally went to lunch after that and said, I got a couple hours. I guess I'll wait till the Mizzou game to start up.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I would have been there in a heartbeat.
Well, we missed you.
I was doing the same thing I would have done there at the other place. You're like, where I'm at?
I know. Watching football,
having
drinking
drinks, smoking a stick, and watching football.
I had to address it.
Watching the top 10 Tigers handle their business.
It needed to be addressed.
It needed to be addressed.
Thank
yeah,
you.
top 10. Don't say top 5. Cole will be very mad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got. Yeah, he got
it's
mad
okay.
about that. He
It's
got
okay.
mad about a couple things.
Is the text line, are they super pissed?
Yeah, they always
At
are.
me for not showing up at.
They were mad at Post.
More so
They're asking about
Cardinals.
you.
I'm sorry.
But you as well.
There's some good jokes in here.
Can we have a viewing party for Arch Madness?
Yeah.
Let's
we
do
can
that.
do anything we want to do.
Spartan 44 had a good one. He said, "Did Jim take the day off because he ran out of excuses for this team?"
That is why he's not here.
Yeah, that
Jim
one made
gets
me laugh.
smashed on here.
He couldn't
sometimes,
defend it.
too.
He couldn't
I
defend
know.
Kyle Gibson.
They get him.
It's all because he is the closest thing that they can get to actually yelling at John Mozeliak himself.
You're right.
Is because they
You're
view
100%
him as a
right.
branch of the organization.
And he is, in a way.
Because the
you know?
Cardinals own Bally's.
You know?
But look, they don't.
So you're saying that therefore they own Jim?
Well, yeah, no. Like, I mean, in reality,
they
he
govern
works for
Jim.
Bally's, but he also works for Mo, and like, it all ties together. It's not that separate.
They don't tell him what to say. They don't care about.
But he's got to watch what he says and stuff like that, man.
mean,
It all coexists.
John Mozeliak said he would come on this show after all the dust settles in free agency.
He does drive me nuts. I don't mean to.
Cat or
No.
Oh.
Well, they both do sometimes. But
Tied for first.
Mo, just the way he just. And again, I don't want to pile on like everybody else, but I look at like. He just has that look, dude, and he like looks down upon you, and he talks down to you, and he's just like he just is, man. And again,
Up top.
I compare him to Army. I compare him to other GMs that I played for and whatnot. He just has this kind of smug attitude, and then he kind of chirped me on the radio, so that amplified.
Oh, yeah.
You know how sensitive I am about stuff.
That was my fault, though.
I got
You know how
baseball on
sensitive-
my mind.
Thank you. Just give me a song. Good Lord.
But then we went back and listened to it.
Well,
It
some
wasn't,
respect.
When it gets listened
it
to,
wasn't
Show me
bad.
some respect.
Hold on, though. We went back and listened to it, and it wasn't that bad at all.
I know, but it still rattled the hell out of me.
I know what
just
you're
did.
saying, by the way. I like Mo a lot, and I think what he does, and
Flip that up.
I'm doing the thing where I do it again personally. I'm doing the personal thing.
Yeah.
I think I understand why you think he comes across smug in press conferences. I think part of that is his relationship with the media, that he can go back and forth with guys, and he's doing it in a way, like if you watched yesterday, when he goes back and forth with Derek Gould, Martin Kilcoyne, Ben Fred, it's kind of a playful respect, whereas I can see if you're a fan, it may come across as you're going after the guy, but it's really because you're having kind of this baseball debate.
The job he does is good.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I don't want to.
So,
But I get it. No, I think
dude, you know how it
what
is.
you're saying is 100% true. I understand how fans, and they do, look, they see the bow tie and they see the sweaters over the shirt.
Yeah.
And it already appears to be an organization that is, we always joke about cheap chokers, but they are definitely not as willing to spend as others. And they say a lot of jargon. They say a lot of kind of financial jargon when it
Prudent.
comes to
We gotta be
what they're
prudent.
going to do. They run it like a hedge fund. Fans in St. Louis are like, come on, spend some money.
I know.
because
I know.
the fans are spending money.
Yeah, dude.
Your
But
St.
they're
Louis
like-
Cardinals. John Mozeliak, how you doing, John?
I came.
I'm well. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We usually pick songs before we have guests on like this. And if you had to pick a song out, what would it be? Oh, it's a tough one.
Well, yeah, hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, you don't have to answer that question.
Got
It's all
baseball
good.
on my mind.
That wasn't that bad.
It's not that bad. You know what that was? All right.
We
let's
could have
just-
pressed him, by the way. We would say, give us one song. He would have done it.
Let's settle this. That's like listening to a chick you rolled up on at the bar that turns you back, and you're like, God, I thought I had that. I thought I was
Well,
going to
yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had to do that from every time that you've swung and missed in your life. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
That wasn't that bad.
Can I?
I didn't swing and miss.
I actually came here to talk about baseball too, amongst other things, of course. So while we're here, which one of these signings is better, Gibson or Lynn? Like, if you're looking at the pieces that you've got in on the table now, which one actually ends up meaning more over the course?
Who
of the
does
season?
more charity?
Now, I don't care about that.
I think
I
it's
ain't gonna do
Gibson.
it either.
Thank you.
Well, I wanted one of them. I said all along, I had the buckets. There's buckets.
And the Cardinals in the fourth bucket.
The top bucket was
Shohei
Yamamoto. Ohtani's just never going to happen. He's a unicorn bucket.
Yes.
The first bucket,
Beyonce.
Yamamoto, Montgomery, Snell, Nola. Second bucket is literally Sonny Gray by himself. He's in the bucket swimming around by himself. That's the Cardinals bucket 2023 winter, I thought.
Yeah.
The third bucket, where the Cardinals just bought real estate, and they bought the whole bucket. That bucket, I called it the Michael Wacha bucket. They got everybody but Michael Wacha in that bucket. That bucket was, there's a bunch of guys, they're playing poker. It's Michael Wacha, it's Kyle Gibson, it's Lance Lynn, it's Kyle Hendricks. The Cardinals are saying, we love that bucket.
Yeah, that's our bucket.
Give us that bucket.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
you're-
Yeah, I was looking at. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not being heavy on Sonny Gray here. Okay, so he's slightly younger than me, slightly. But
I like that.
when I look at this, Sonny Gray is the runner-up in the Cy Young last year, and I know wins don't matter, Eric Messersmith. But
Little shout out, Eric.
If they do, then you love Kyle Gibson.
my boy, you love him. You love Kyle
15
Gibson.
wins
if you
is a
get
lot.
That,
Yeah, it
that
is
is a
these days.
lot of being in the right place at the right time.
On a good team.
I, on one hand, believe that wins still do matter because it means that you're pitching into a situation.
Well, you're
where
winning.
Sonny Gray won 8 games last year. He's won 16 games over the last 2 years. So we need for Sonny Gray to come to St. Louis and be able to pitch long enough to be the one that's spearheading wins if he's that guy. I think that that's what holds it up for me, is that he's a great metrics guy, but I don't look at it and say Sonny Gray is going to work 7 innings, 7 2/3, and get it done when you need somebody to stay on the mound. He's just not that guy for me. So am I spending $23 million on that?
But that's the price for that guy these days.
I know. I get it. I completely get it. But I just, at this point, you spent, basically they've divided Wainwright's salary plus, $2 million on Lynn and Gibson so far. All right. So you really haven't done much more. You should still have the room that you were going to spend last offseason to go get one or two guys of some substance.
Unless you sign Waino again.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
But they just cloned him and signed him twice.
Oh, Lance Lynn's a bigger factor in my opinion. And Mike, Jackie Boy chimed in and goes, I think at least he'll add some badass factor back on the team in the locker room and whatnot. That is meaningful if he could stay healthy.
Here's one thing that
don't
Sonny Gray does do that I like, and it's something that the Cardinals, they haven't addressed, in my opinion. Maybe I need to look at, can somebody look at Kyle Gibson's strikeout to walk ratio? Sonny Gray misses bats. And what the Cardinals' big issue is that they don't have guys that miss bats. That's not Steven Matz's game. It's not Miles' game. Miles can do it, but it's not what he's there to do. Sonny Gray averaged a strikeout an inning for all intents and purposes. That's big. Now, does he keep doing that at 34 and 35? I see some Charlie Morton potentially in Sonny Gray, a guy who ages well, who keeps his stuff and finds a way to adapt and still be a part of it. You can do that right now if you stay in the market to be able to add guys via trade if you need to upgrade the rotation still at some point. I think that that's the only way that you see there be a fourth arm is if it takes away from money that's already on the books.
I just don't think that's going to happen. I could be wrong.
I don't think I'm penciling Lance in to be a locked-in, absolute number 5 guy on this team. Maybe
Well,
that's
can he
me.
be so you're saying he's a 3 or 4?
No, I think he could be a bridge guy.
He ain't. But Lance Lynn is not going to the bullpen. To me, the only guy that would go to the bullpen because you already sent him to the pen is Matz.
Yeah.
Well, and Matz did, and so the question is bringing it back to the people that you're planning around, because essentially you're planning around Miles and Matz. I think Miles stays in the rotation. Did Matz pitch well enough down the stretch for us to forget everything that happened before that?
No, which is why before the season started, most people said they need 2 guys better than Matz and Michaelis. And look, I'm not going to go ahead and slot all these guys.
No reason to do that.
One guy will probably have a better season than we think. One guy will probably have a worse season, and 2 guys will have the season we think, which is if you were just looking at ERA, like a 4.3, 4.5 ERA. I'm not going to predict right now who is who, but I agree with Cardinals fans when they go, dude, we have 4 4s.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to say. 4 5s or 4 4s.
You got a 3. You got a 3 and you had a 3.
I think Michaelis is fair as a 3, but you have no top-end guys. You have no guys, in my opinion. I'd like to hear from the text line. I always judge it like this. Who do you feel comfortable, you feel good about that guy getting a playoff start? Do you feel that for any pitcher on the Cardinals' current starting rotation?
Well, I haven't seen Lance Lynn pitch yet, so.
Okay, but Lance Lynn 7 years ago, I'm feeling pretty good about a playoff
We saw,
start.
Lance pitched
we saw
those
him
games
pitch in
7
the
years ago.
playoffs this year, and
I'm
he
not
gave him
saying-
4 home runs on 4 straight
That's
at
right.
bats.
You're right. Never mind. I did see it.
I'm not saying he can't.
right.
I'm not saying he can't have a good playoff start. I'm saying go back to even when the Cardinals were good 2 years ago. The playoffs were Wheeler and Nola versus Quintana and Miles Michaelis. And you just didn't feel on paper like that was a favorable matchup for the Cardinals, even though they were the better team and they were at home.
I'd say Michaelis is going to have a better year than he did last year.
Man.
I would say, if I'm going to predict anything, I don't know what Lynn's going to do. I don't know what Kyle Gibson's going to do, Matt's, whatnot. But I would say Michaelis would have a better year.
Hope is a strategy here when you look at if you're planning around Steven Matz. Because Steven Matz in the first half last year, we don't even need to go into it. It was terrible. I mean, he just struggled the entire time through. In the second half, he goes 4-0 with a 2.16 ERA over 6 starts. Here's my issue with that. Great numbers, but the injury. So, I mean, you're still planning around a guy who's got great performance, but it's sprint performance. It's not endurance. It's not staying out there and doing it repeatedly. If he had that second half and it was over 10, 11 starts, yeah, I'm all about planning around that because that's an upside. For this one right now, I still can't plan around that. If the strategy is to say you're going to add one more starter and then you've got to decide what you're going to get from Steven Matz, Kyle Gibson, and Lance Lynn, well, just buckle up for another year of what you just had.
I agree with you, but there's a difference between what we want and what's going to happen. So the Cardinals, in my opinion, are 1,000% going to put Steven Matz in the opening day starting rotation as one of the 5 and basically say, okay, he's going to give us his 12 starts before he gets hurt. And then Zach Thompson's coming in. I think that's how they will kind of strategize the beginning of the season.
Makes sense.
Shouldn't the fact that the players don't want to come here be laid at Bowtie and the ownership's doorstep? When Mo took over, the Cardinals were an organization everybody wanted to play for.
No, Blend
No, that's not
Express.
true. That's not true.
You're right.
That's not true.
The Polar Express.
Yeah,
Son
that's-
of a gun.
That's not true.
Blame the guy who's pulling up on Andy Banker with a pellet gun.
Listen,
that was crazy.
I've said it for years, and you can look outside baseball. It isn't like St. Louis, Missouri is a destination for people to want to move to.
not.
More people,
No, it's not.
more
Tell that
people
to
are
Charlie and I.
more people are leaving
Yeah, really.
than are coming. Charlie came here for a purpose and has accomplished it. And has done it. You came here
To get married.
and it become
To find a lady.
and it become a local media legend.
To breed.
and you conquered it.
Those Missouri breeders.
Going to Missouri. Where you going? I'm going to breed.
The ground is fertile here.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, we got a new Hot Take Central poll. We got 2 polls going on at once. We got who is the St. Louis Cardinals' second best pitcher next season? Matz, Michaelis,
Does it have to
Lynn,
be a starter?
or Gibson?
Who's the first?
Yeah, who's number 1?
Whoever is not here yet.
Who's the second? Who's
The second.
I want to know the first.
Matz, Michaelis, Lynn, or Gibson. After 42 votes in 8 minutes, pretty good ratio.
Wait. But
We
hold
have a
up,
runaway
though.
favorite.
Who's the number 1?
We're assuming somebody better comes
Nobody.
to town at some point.
Sonny Gray.
Sonny Gray.
Alec Manoah, whatever.
Oh, man. I really thought this offseason was going to be different.
Or a-
Maybe it
or a
still
man.
will
Over
be.
yet? Still
I
in
don't know,
November.
man, but I think the fact they got 2 of these guys.
Yes.
Again, I'm not going to go nuclear until it's done, but I think it's already an underwhelming trend to get 2 of the guys from the last bucket when most people thought you get 1 guy from that bucket.
Is this the offseason that the Blues had last year when it's like you're gonna get to Chuck. He's
Man.
coming.
Oh, God.
Oh, my.
He ain't coming.
Whoa.
And they're dominating down there, too.
Listen, this is what's
And
called
he's on the beach.
this is what's called a trend.
Sorry.
Playing in the Stanley Cup
I'm
Finals.
sorry.
You don't
It's a
get
difference.
you don't get the star on the ice. You're praying for the star on here. Your football team leaves.
Oh, God.
Nothing good is coming here.
You know what we have?
The city got their ass
Mizzou
kicked.
football.
Well, that's always
Yeah.
going to be here. We're going to handle our part. Promise you that.
Mizzou football this year. You dang right.
It is so
Mizzou
weird.
did it.
I did not see this coming.
The SFL took the
football.
playoffs away from the Battlehawks, but what we do have is City SC because we're big city
That-
guys.
The
They got
tides
their
have
ass
turned. The Blues and the Cardinals are now little brother, and now we have Mizzou football and
Mizzou
City
football.
SC
Yeah.
are the dominant forces in this area. Could you believe it?
Man,
I
oh,
can't
man.
believe it about Mizzou because I've been here long enough to see Mizzou be good for it spurts multiple times. But for this to be a team that we were debating, 4 months ago about are they going to get the over/under of 6.5 wins? Yeah,
Unfortunately,
this
Cole,
season
revenue
is beat
though,
odds.
You need Busch Stadium back. You need Enterprise Center packed.
We'll
40 times.
We'll get
41
Guns
times
and
a
we'll
year.
get Guns N' Roses and Metallica and
Yeah.
They broke records.
Yeah, I know.
Pantera.
So we'll keep doing that.
keep them coming. Well, Pantera's going to be touring with Lamb of God and Disturbed next year, baby.
You're not going.
Now
You're not going. Stop.
Nah,
Just stop.
Well, if it's at the Dome, probably not.
You're not.
No, if it's at the Dome, I'm not. But Metallica was the big headliner, so that's why they did the Dome. This is going to be a smaller venue. So if we're at Enterprise Center, Oh, hell yeah. And we're walking around back, and we're going to stay at my buddy's box and watch it.
When's the last
That's
time
different.
you went to Enterprise Center?
Well, I'm going to be going there. Well, I'm going
Next year, you're going there to fight.
Yeah, I'm going to be there and fighting next year, I guess. No, I'll be going there here coming up pretty soon.
Cole, can you start putting together the Amazon biography on this? We're going to do a documentary on Cam's return to the fights.
Oh, God.
I have a question. Now, we know the offseason, it essentially just started, although I think 2/3 of their pitching has already been addressed. Mm-hmm. Taking into account Lance Lynn, Kyle Gibson, and what you think the Cardinals will still do, give me a win total prediction or where you think the Cardinals will end up next year. And you can assume
84 wins.
Yeah, that's probably where I think I'm definitely dialing back off the 90 for sure.
No, 84 wins, dude.
84, 85. What do you think?
82.
Okay.
Ooh, Maddie, yeah. You know? Cole's like
Cole's
61.
going to say 45.
Fourth or fifth? Fourth in the division.
Fourth?
Some of this also depends on what people do around them, though, too. Because, I mean, it's just too early to do this.
It's never too early.
Because if Corbin Burns is gone, like the Brewers are trying hard as hell to get him off, and Woodruff is out for the year, that team ain't going to be the same.
The Cubs are going to get aggressive.
Just about to say that.
The
What about
Cubs are-
Milwaukee?
The Cubs have
They
already
already
shown.
started.
The Cubs have already shown they're willing to dirty Mac and
going.
steal and do whatever it
They got
takes
the
to get
manager
people.
now?
Reds are young and good.
Yeah, they
Yes.
are. Oh, they're fun to watch.
Which is always a risk.
Pirates suck.
They'll
Maybe.
improve.
Yeah, I mean we can count the spaces. Are the Pirates going to be better? I mean, are they going to do something to take the step? Do they have the type of talent that the Reds have?
Do they spend money?
I think they're a cut
No.
below that.
They don't.
So-
Where's their payroll at?
Embarrassingly low.
Like aren't if you're a Pirate player, aren't you like stop being so damn cheap? Like let's get going.
Yeah.
And once you get more competitive, the people will come. Spend some damn money, you cheap ass.
Oh,
Why do you own a team?
You can be good. You can be good with the Pirates.
Cheap
and
owners.
That'll work in your benefit because they'll trade you to a good team.
There
The,
should ne-
the
that's a-
Yankees will come after you. We dish a lot of players at the Yankees.
Cheap owners, they ruin the sport.
I know.
I don't get it. Why own a team? I know you
Don't buy Bob
Why
Nutting's
are you owning a
newspapers,
team
please?
if you're not going to try to win all the time? And I'm not talking about Mo and DeWitt and all those guys. Spend money, man. They're going to spend some money, and they probably should spend a little bit more money. But they're still
They gotta spend
10
money
to
in the-
15 in payroll.
They got to spend money in the right places because it's shown in baseball. Unless you've got a ton of top prospect young guys that are blowing up and they're cheap and you can get over like the Royals did a few years ago. You got to be in that top 10. You just have to.
Yeah, you got
I
to
mean,
spend money.
it
dude.
doesn't. I mean, when you look at the teams that ascended, the World Series is a good example of two different ways that can happen. You have the Rangers who have spent money hand over fist the last two off seasons to get guys in there and didn't even have half of them. The guy they spent the most money on wasn't even playing in DeGrom. But, I mean, they spent it to make the run there. And then you had the Diamondbacks who had all the young guys, who had the guys that paid out and were playing over what they're earning. The Cardinals are stuck in the middle of all of that. Highly paid guys and not enough young guys who are running the gamut and taking them up the ladder.
And even though this offseason we're going to focus mostly on free agency and talk some trades, I think what's happening now, and I think what will continue to happen, underscores the Cardinals' real problem, which is no longer churning out young, controllable pitching of their own. Because the Cardinals have not been good in free agency since I've been here. And look, I mean, they
What's
got
the best Cardinal free agent of the time you've been here?
well
that
if
they
you
signed
count,
off
if you
the market,
count,
not re-signed.
not Matt Holliday.
No, he was a trade acquisition.
We did this the other day.
Yeah.
Well,
Berkman?
a small deal or a big deal?
Just not one that like, oh my God, we can't believe that he turned into that. Like somebody that you went out and spent money. Let's use the Dexter Fowler as the metric for it. The Dexter Fowler, that was looked at as a big signing. Contreras has been looked at as a big signing, something like that.
Mike Leake.
We did this the other day.
Mike Leake.
And
That's
to
another
me,
one.
there wasn't. Now, I think Contreras, it's to be determined on that. Good offensive season. You don't like the fact they literally said you can't catch for a week. That's not good.
Yeah, we're not gonna
But
live
we
that
did
one
this
down.
the other day. I mean, Johnny Peralta, Mike Leake,
Yeah.
Dexter Fowler, Wilson Contreras. Those are the big deals. Cecil. The smaller deals have been good.
Maryland Cecil.
Some guys like the Beltrons, the Berkmans,
Yes.
Rafael Furcal, 1-year deals. They've been good with the Asian market with some of these pitchers on 1 to 2 year deals. But that's my point. No one likes any of the big deals the Cardinals have signed. Now we want him to sign another big deal with Yamamoto, which I think will be better because he's younger. But the point is, The only guys that want to come here, let's be real, are the 36-year-old dudes that live close by.
I know.
Because
That is the point why you can't lose Alcantara and Gallen. The real problem is not creating your own young pitchers that can throw here for 7 years before they move on.
Charlie Marlow is the number one acquisition that St. Louis has made of the unmarried 20-year-olds that come to the area and make an impact
But what the
in the
hell?
last 15 years. You're still crafting your way, baby. You don't know how this man came out
gotta
the
start
gates.
breeding.
I was here when Charlie hit the ground. It's like, who is this guy?
was I.
He looks like a quarterback.
We're all
and we
doing it.
needed one when he showed up, too.
We're all in the game together.
Yeah.
I haven't bred yet.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
but in all
it's
seriousness, though, Cam,
Yeah.
you listen. You know what it's like to be out there. If you're a young guy who isn't married, who's like, I can get the chance to pick where I want to go. I want to go live in Missouri.
I heard Missouri's
I might
good
be
this
able
time
to
of
go.
year.
I might be able to go to Florida or Texas and be able to make more of my money, or I might be able to go to the coast and be able to wheel around and kick it and do. No, I'm going to Missouri.
I'm going to Missouri.
because they got great fans.
Lake of the Ozarks.
B-fibs.
I was thinking about this. You ever read a story? It'll be from another country, and you read about this city. You've never heard of it. And you go, oh, it's actually the 5th biggest city in Brazil or Russia. It's got 3 million people, and you've never heard of it. That happens. I'm thinking, does Yamamoto know? Did he even know that St. Louis existed?
No.
I don't know that that's true, but my
Thank
point
you.
is,
Thank
if you
you.
live in a
Thank you.
different country, if I'm talking about England, what do I know? I know London. If I'm talking
Nottingham.
about, okay, now I know Nottingham. If I'm talking about Brazil, I know Rio. Do you think Yamamoto, he knows New York, he knows Chicago, and LA? If you grow up in a different country, that's what you know. He might not even know that St. Louis existed
No.
until now he realizes
Thank you.
this team is trying to sign him.
This is what I get. This is what I've been
100%.
trying.
100% Charlie.
This is what I've been going at for so long because Columbus radio talk. Why doesn't anyone want to go to the Blue Jackets? Why did Artemi Panarin go to the Rangers? This guy's from Russia. You think he's ever heard of Columbus, Ohio? He knows what New York City is. He doesn't. He got traded to Columbus against his will.
Yeah. And
These
another
guys
thing,
don't know what these cities are.
And they're like, oh, what's St. Louis? Okay, let me look it up. Yeah. And,
I see this Chris Nagas tweet.
Oh, my God.
I see this Andy Banker
I
tweet.
know. I know. Then they look up and they see, like, I think he might know Miami.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Miami, Miami,
Boston,
Vegas.
Vegas, Boston, maybe.
Maybe he knows because of Newt. But my point is more so, these guys, you know the Yankees brand. I know the Cardinals have a strong brand in the United States, but John Mozeliak spoke to this yesterday. He specifically said these Asian pitchers usually end up on the coasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to get there if they're traveling.
Their family can
You got to
get
take
there
17
easier.
layovers to get to St. Louis.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, there's a lot, man. There's a lot that goes into that decision. Damn. Get him in, by the way. Audio Exchange text sign 855-282.
I exchange Kirkwood.
Kirkwood.
There you go, the full
Audio
name.
Exchange in Kirkwood, text sign 855-282-8255. Let's recognize the elephant in the room. This is on Bally's bankruptcy. This offseason is going to be a disaster. Big boy Wombat.
Listen, we talked about that during the regular season. I think that's a real thing. I mean, this could be trying to win in volume. I mean, and winning in volume is not spending $20 million on one guy when you know you got to address multiple things. What this offseason really needs, and we've seen it happen here before, and you got to hope that they scouted it the right way and the right guy fits. What this offseason really needs is a Kyle Loesch. It needs somebody that comes in that you're just like, oh, man, all right, well, didn't know what that's going to be, but, man, I'm glad that it worked out that way. Or a Chris Carpenter. Now, Toronto's got another Chris Carpenter candidate, potentially, if Alex Manoah's head isn't, completely gone out of it. When Carpenter came to St. Louis, he was a guy that had an injury history that they gave up next to nothing to get, and he was the biggest boom for an acquisition I think that you could think of in a long time. So, I mean, they've got to hope that they get upside, but I don't think upside is what they've gotten from 36 and 37-year-olds.
Come on. 36-year-old upside?
Yeah,
Come on.
I'd stay away from that kind of stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't want them to throw $100 million at a guy that's 33 years old for 5 years. Like, I don't.
Sonny Gray is probably now.
I don't want Army to do it either.
Sonny Gray, I think we thought was maybe 3 years, 60, and now is it 4 years, 80?
Man.
And just biting the bullet on the final year.
What is Blake Snell at?
85. Blake Snell, I think Nola reset the market in terms of years, in my opinion. Now, you can make the case he's better than Snell in terms of durability, and also Montgomery. Nola has a better track record of making starts. But if I'm Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, I want damn close to 7 years and 172.